The pop-up camera is back. It's here to stay. The brand new Vivo X27 brings us a completely bezel-less screen with that really cool pop-up camera at the front. This is a really interesting phone, and it has a load of very good specs, but it isn't cheap. So let's have a closer look at this phone and see what we're getting for our money. Right, I got hands-on with this phone. Now, it was released today here in China, but it's not available to buy for another couple of days. I got hands-on with it, and the first thing I noticed was that front fingerprint sensor. You get a fingerprint sensor under the screen. It seems like every manufacturer is doing this now in 2019. Now, you can turn the screen off, and you don't have to turn the screen on or tap the screen to open it. All you have to do is just press your thumb down there on the bottom of the screen in the right position, and it will open up the screen. I tested it out a million times. As you can see, it's definitely quick. It's not sluggish at all. It takes a little bit of getting used to know exactly where the sensor is, but once you put your thumb in the correct position, it just scans it right away and opens up the screen. This is a really great addition because obviously that front facing camera is in the pop-up. You don't want that to pop up every time you open your phone, so it's a great addition to have that fingerprint sensor on the bottom. Once the screen is open, you can see this thing just no bezels whatsoever. I really love that bezel-less screen at the top. It just has such a nice look with those curved edges on the sides. It's an AMOLED screen, which I love. 6.4 inches, 400 ppi. Not the highest, not the worst. Using it, I was really happy with it. Colors are great. I honestly don't think I've seen an AMOLED screen before that I haven't liked. Right, let's just get straight into that pop-up camera because that's what you're here for. This thing surprised me a lot, and I almost fell in love with it. Now, one of the first pop-up cameras that I remember seeing was the Oppo Find X. That was the phone that drew my attention to the pop-up camera. And although I absolutely loved that phone, I think it was a great design, it was a first generation phone. The pop-up camera was a little bit slow. It just took that half a second too long to pop up the camera and half a second too long to bring it down again. But this thing is so much better than that. It is very quick, so much so that when you press the camera app, it just pops up. You don't wait for it at all. You would open the camera app, frame your shot, and it's already taking a picture. It's definitely a little bit thicker and a little bit heavier than a lot of the phones I try. It's definitely thicker. It feels thicker anyway and heavier than the Xiaomi 9. But obviously you're getting that really cool pop-up camera in there. So that front-facing camera is a 16 megapixel camera. Now, Vivo is a Chinese manufacturer, and when I was taking photos, I could see it was beautifying my face and smoothing out my skin. That's something that you get with all of these phones. You can turn that a little bit stronger or a little bit weaker depending on your preference. One of the cool things that you can do with that pop-up flash is to the left and right on the sides, there's actually some small LED lights, and you can go into the settings and you can change the colors. So when the camera does pop up and go back down again, it just flashes some color, and you can change that to whatever color you like. It also makes some noise as well, and you can change that from about 4 or 5 options. So when the camera comes up and goes back down, it just makes a little sound. This is just a really cool feature that I spent about 10 minutes playing with, just making it pop up and go back down again. Now, the camera app has to be in selfie mode for it to pop up. So if it's already in selfie mode from the last time you used it and you open the camera app, that will just pop up straight away. If you're in the back camera mode, when you open the camera app, the pop-up camera won't pop up. Obviously, if you're taking photos with that back camera and you want to take photos with the front camera, just press the switch button and then up it pops. So if you had reservations with maybe the Oppo Find X, you thought that the mechanism might not be strong enough or that the pop-up was a little slow, this one definitely is much quicker. Keeping on the cameras, those back cameras are actually really great too. You get 3 cameras at the back there. 2 of them are imaging units and 1 is a depth sensor. The main camera is 48 megapixels. The secondary camera is an ultra-wide camera at 13 megapixels. I just took some photos of Luhan here, who's very famous in China. I actually saw some banding on the screen because of the lights in the shop. Obviously, that's not a problem you'll get normally. But the camera app was very quick at taking photos and they were very clear. I was really impressed with it. One of the things that I actually saw as well was what I translated as macro mode. I was speaking Chinese and I'm not sure if that's the exact correct translation into English, but anyway, I'll explain it. So in this mode, you can get incredibly close to objects and they still appear in incredible detail. We actually put it up against a different Vivo phone, an older Vivo phone without this. I put it really, really close to my camera lens and it was blurry. It was just too close for the camera to focus on. On the X27, I literally got the phone about this far away from my camera lens and I could see all the little ridges in the focus rings. It's a really, really cool feature that obviously you don't get in a lot of other devices. So all in all, those cameras are a definite main event of this phone. Those back cameras are really, really snappy, and that front camera, it doesn't feel like a gimmick, it feels like a part of the phone that you can rely on to take pictures. Another feature of the phone that definitely caught my eye was the battery, or the size of the battery. It's 4,000 milliamp hours, which is incredibly big. Now the Xiaomi 9, which is a phone I absolutely adore and I love it. This thing is a powerful beast. This has a 3,300 milliamp hour battery and the battery is very, very good. It lasts a long time, but wow, 4,000 milliamp hours in the Vivo. This thing is probably gonna last you a couple of days. Obviously yet to do any battery tests, but 4,000 milliamp hours is gonna be enough for anybody. It uses a USB-C type charger and it has 18-watt fast charging. As far as I'm aware, there are no options at the moment with this one. I think it's 8 gigs of RAM with 256 gigs of storage. You can put a micro SD card in there if you want. So far this phone really impresses me. It is about 500 RMB more expensive than the Xiaomi 9. And of course it has that completely bezel-less AMOLED display, that pop-up camera, which I'm sure is expensive to manufacture. So it looks like a very, very serious competitor to the Xiaomi 9, but Vivo have just pulled back with the chipset. So they've decided to go with the Snapdragon 710. Now this is a great processor, it's very quick, it's a Snapdragon, you know it's going to be snappy, but it is not the very best. It is not the Snapdragon 855 which you find in the Xiaomi 9. The Snapdragon 710 allows the Vivo to take 4K video. It has the underscreen fingerprint sensor and fast charging. There are also loads and loads of camera options that the 710 allows, but it is not the very best, the most powerful chipset on the market. Also with those cameras at the back there, you don't get a telephoto camera. There's just the main camera and a wider camera. So these are the things that Vivo just pull back on. Otherwise, I'm assuming the price would obviously be a lot more. It's already 500 more than the Xiaomi 9. So I think with this one, really what you're going for is that completely bezel-less display and that really cool pop-up camera. If you're not a heavy user that uses a lot of intensive apps, then the Vivo X27 might be the right choice for you.